Hello everyone, welcome again to another Ableton Live tutorial. My name is Michael and I go by the name Radio Moon. And today we're going to be talking about one feature that I use all the time that's built right into Ableton, and that is resampling. So without further ado, let's get started. Alright, so here we are back in Ableton, and today's video we're going to be talking about resampling. So the question is, what is resampling and how can we use it? So essentially what resampling is Ableton listening to your master output and then allowing you to reroute that signal into a channel so then you can record it. And it works pretty simple, and we can use this in a lot of different ways to generate new material based on what we already have inside of our session so that we can render it down to audio and then manipulate it further, create new sections or just new sounds that we've kind of created from multiple ones and just rendering it down into one simple file. So it's very simple, and how we set this up is by creating a new audio channel just by hitting Command T. And for this one, I'm going to resample the whole entire beat. So I'm going to rename this Beat Resample. You can name it kind of whatever allows you to know what you're doing. And then the next thing you need to do is make sure that the in and out tab is open. And if you don't see it, just click on this IO button right here, and that will reveal this. And then we need to click on where it says EXT in, and then we open this up, and now we can see all the different tracks that we have in our set. What we want to do, or what we could do, is we could actually route one track into here and just re-record that one track, but we actually have a dedicated one for resampling. So this is the master channel. And to set this up to record, we need to just enable the session record, or the track record here, and then the session record at the top of the screen. And so that once we hit record, it's gonna just record everything that's coming out of the master channel. The other thing that's cool too that you can do in certain sections if you would like is to click this button right here next to the loop, and this is the record in marker point. This way that we can start before the clip here, and it won't actually start recording until it hits that line right here. So I'm going to show you how to do this. Important things to remember: choose resampling as your input, record enable the track, then session record at the top, and then we can record. So this happens in real time, so I'm going to speed this portion up just for the sake of the tutorial. All right, great. Now that that's done, we have our entire beat loop resampled here and rendered down to audio, so now we can further manipulate it and edit it as we desire. Let's say I want to add some sort of like textural transitions in between portions of the beat or the phrasing. So what I'm going to do is just pick out a section. Let's say it's like right here. All right, so like right at the end of here, this like last snare and last two kicks, I want to just chop this up and manipulate it into some sort of transition. So the cool thing about selections with audio clips is you can just select the time that you want, go up to the top of the clip bar until you see the hand, and then just drag down and let go. And that's going to isolate that little portion that you selected. So I'm going to actually get rid of this, and you can just deactivate clips by hitting 0. So I'm going to hit 0 here and 0 here. They're not technically gone, they just won't play. And now I can just open this little clip up here, and then I can go into the warp modules inside the audio clip and change the parameters here so I can get a lot of different interesting effects if I want. So there's different options under this section. There's beats, tones, textures, complex pro. I can go into these in later detail in another video, but I like to play around with beats, texture, and complex pro a lot for these types of things. So I'm going to choose texture, and then I can manipulate different parameters like grain size and flux. And then I can also change the sample BPM by doubling it or halving it. So it's going to either play back twice as fast or twice as slow, or I can transpose it here. So what I like to do, I'm going to actually stretch this out. So it's going to play twice as slow. So I essentially doubled the BPM, and it's on texture. I'm going to boost the gain up here, and we're just going to play this so you can see what this sounds like. So it kind of added some texture and a little grainy glitchiness to it, but it might be kind of difficult to hear. So I'm just going to select this portion of the beat and just hit 0. It's going to deactivate everything within that section. So then it's just going to solo this. So let's just play what this sounds like. So you kind of heard that kind of broke it up and added that sort of textural space inside that portion of the beat. Let's hear what this sounds like reverse just for the sake of doing it. So there you go. You can kind of see that we kind of created this new element that was referencing this beat, but we're able to manipulate it and change it in a different way that we weren't able to do if we weren't able to resample. So I'll show you one more kind of trick I like to do with beat resampling, and we're going to activate this section. Or this time I'm going to half the BPM, so it's going to play twice as fast. I'm going to hit loop and extend this to the whole portion. Instead of going to texture like I did last time, I'm going to stay in beats, and then I'm going to go and choose eighth note. So this is going to preserve every eighth note of this audio file. And then also in this dialog box, I'm going to change it to the arrow with the line. This one with the line kind of acts like a gate, and this slider right here represents the amount of time it's going to allow that sound duration to be audible for each one of these beats. So let's just take a listen to what that sounds like. So on its own, let's just listen to it. So that's kind of like a gated beat sound now and layered in. So that's pretty cool. And then what we can also do is chop that up again and maybe change this one to 16th so we can see what this sounds like. So yeah, we can kind of get this like really glitchy, broken up elements to the beat by doing it this way and resampling and then just changing the warp modules for the audio files. Another technique of resampling, but this one's a little bit different, is called freezing. And this works really well with MIDI clips. So right here, I have white noise transition that I made using operator and reverb, and also just made it a rack so I can just change certain parameters as I want, always just drop it into tracks. But say I want to render this down to audio, so I always have the same one and I don't have to remake it over and over again. So as you can see inside here, there's an automation for the filter sweep. And so I don't want to remake this every time. I like it how it is, and I just want to commit it to audio so that I don't have to remake it and I can drag it into any project I want and it will always sound the same. So it's pretty easy to do, and this works with MIDI files, and you just right click on the MIDI track and then go up to where it says freeze track. So now what this does, by freezing it, I'm no longer able to edit the synth parameters at all. It's highlighted in blue and I can't touch anything. You can also see that it added these zebra line tails to the ends of these, and these are the reverb tails of these clips. Actually, what I want to do to freeze this is I want to duplicate it. I'm going to unfreeze it because I only want to do one. If I do it like this, it's going to do both of them into one track, and I don't want that. So I'm going to unfreeze it first, come here, delete it, refreeze it. And now I can convert this into audio in one of two ways. I could go up to flatten. So we'll just do this real quick, and that converted this into an audio file pretty easily. It's in two files. You'll see it says freeze tail, and the other one is just freeze. But it's actually all one recording. It just broke it up like that if you were to just drag out the freeze section. The other way you can do it is, I like to do it this way too. If I have one version, but I kind of want to save this one, so I maybe want to make further edits, I can actually make an audio track below it. And then by holding Alt on Windows or Option on Mac, go up to the MIDI clip until you see the white hand, hold down Option or Alt, and then just drag this down into the audio track, and that also converts it into audio. I'm also going to show you where these files are located so that you can save them in your user library later. So you could just hit right click, show in browser, and then it pulls up where this is. So this opens the project folder Under samples, process, and freeze, this is where all those are. And then under recorded, you'll have your beat resample files. So that's where all those things are saved. So I think you can see that resampling can be a pretty powerful feature. It's fun to be creative and isolate certain elements of your track. And say you have like multiple tracks or components that kind of create one sound and you were just like, oh, I just want that to be its own sound. Well, you can just solo all those and then you can hit resample and then it's saved as one file. Another fun thing to do is to group tracks, add effects to them, and then it kind of creates a new element too that you can re-record by resampling, then take that effect off, and then you have a new audio file of that affected version that you can use in your track elsewhere. So I hope that clarifies things and shows you an inspiring new tool to help build your tracks in fun and interesting ways. All right, that does it for this tutorial. I hope you learned something useful about the power of resampling and are able to use it into your workflow to add character and texture to your music. As always, if you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments below, and like this video and subscribe to my channel for more Ableton Live tips and tricks. We'll see you in the next one.